But we want to talk about the women who are inspiring us, the women who are really doing things that we wish maybe we could do sometimes.
Welcome to Unscripted with Kirby, Hasseman, and Bill Petrie. In this weekly podcast, Kirby and Bill talk about the world of marketing, branding, and promotional products. Unscripted is available only at promocorner.com, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry. Now, here's Kirby and Bill.
And welcome to episode number 194 of the Unscripted podcast. I am your host, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, the maven of mugs, messenger bags, motivational calendars, and miscellaneous mouse pads, the one and only Dr. Kirby Hasseman.
Hey, man, how are you, buddy?
Kirby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well. We are living in a weird time, my friend, and I'm trying to wade through all of that, the hype and the hysteria and the truth. And so I'm doing well, or as well as I can. So how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm getting over a little bit of feeling a little funky the last couple days, and just going to fight through the podcast today. So if I have a coughing fit, I have a coughing fit. But no, we are living in strange times where we're all trying to figure out what to do, what not to do in an era where nobody seems to know what to do at all.
Yes.
But you know who does know something, Kirby?
Who's that, Bill?
Thank you so much for knowing to ask. That'd be our good pals over at Next Level Apparel. You know, it really wasn't about reinventing the wheel, Kirby. It's about revolutionizing it. Wow. In 2020, that's this year, for those of you looking at your calendar, Next Level Apparel has transformed the industry's tubular tee by combining art and science to create the 1800 unisex ideal heavyweight tee. Now, I know you're a big fan of Next Level.
I am.
You know, their vision, Kirby, was to create a tubular tee that offers an elevated fit, made of that soft fabric, which I know you love. I know you love that fabric. An everyday function inspired by streetwear, skatewear, surfwear, and workwear.
Yeah.
And I know you're like a big fan, like I said, of that, the real soft T-shirt.
Well, I'm a fan of it because I think that our end users are a fan of it. I think I mentioned last week, but I think it's worthy of restating. I mean, Next Level is a brand that our customers ask for by name, and that makes our job of selling much easier.
Well, and that's been kind of the transformation in our industry. You know, we used to shy away from selling quote unquote name brands, and now it's honestly a sales tool to be able to do that. So, you know, with Next Level, every cut, every thread, and every person has come together to make this durable heavyweight cotton tee the new benchmark in streetwear fit and workwear function. And you really don't want to miss out on this T-shirt. So go ahead and visit our friends over at nextlevelapparel.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Now, Kirby, are you ready to record at a hand sanitizer level this week?
I don't know that it's possible, but I will do my best, my friend.
All right, so we talked just a little inside baseball here. We did talk a little bit before we started recording the podcast, and we always talk about how we'd be tone deaf if we didn't talk about things that are trending. And obviously, you know, in 1 week, the coronavirus has completely taken over a lot of lives. I've seen planes half empty. We're looking a lot like 9/11. I flew right after 9/11, 6 days after 9/11, and the same things I experienced there. I know other people are experiencing now. Planes that carry 140 people have 35 people on it. Wow. Airports empty, things like that. And then when you have large events like South by Southwest canceling, Coachella, the big one that actually shocked me was the Houston Stock Show and Rodeo. That's a huge thing for the city of Houston. Pearl Jam canceled their tour, and more sure to follow. My kids have been out of school all week. Their spring break is next week. And I was talking to Sandy last night, and I said, I think we all need to be prepared that school is over for this year in terms of going to class. I think people are going to spend the next 2 weeks trying to figure out how to do everything online.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how we combat the hysteria. Obviously, there's a lot of people in our industry very upset that all the hand sanitizer's gone. I had a list of questions. I don't even want to ask them. It's just more of a – I think my biggest concern at this point, it's the impact on the economy. I'm really concerned about that, and I think you would be as well. So it's one of the things we just kind of have to monitor.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think it's one of those things where as this started, we went down a path, and I almost think for many of us, the idea is, hey guys, pump the brakes on the hysteria, pump the brakes. But as it's moved forward, now I find myself second guessing my own opinions because, when, as these events are canceled, I want to be cognizant of what I'm doing and making sure that I'm being smart. But on the other hand, it's like the hysteria is so overwhelming that I'm like, it is very hard to understand what to believe and what to understand. But there's no question it's going to affect the economy for sure.
Well, and my thing is, and I'll be very candid. When it first came out, I was like, okay, everybody just kind of chill a little bit.
Yes.
Here's my concern. And I'll be very candid. I'm actually a little scared of this. This is the one. This is the first time I think I've ever had a global health scare that I felt very nervous about. It wasn't SARS. It wasn't MERS. H1N1. If you remember that, Mitch, my son, had H1N1, and so we experienced that. He had pneumonia. He had all of that stuff. That didn't scare me. This one does, and it's because I feel like there's not one singular authority that is saying, here's what you need to do, here's what's going to happen if you get it, here's how to prevent it from spreading. It's like we're all just social distancing. It seems like that's the best thing everybody's doing right now is social distancing. It's just kind of a scary thing. So it'll bear watching. It will impact lives. I think live, with the NBA season being canceled last night, or at least put on hiatus for a little bit. No one's going to the NCAA tournament now. It's going to be played as of this recording. By the time this comes out, that could change. So it's just very interesting times. It does impact our industry as events are canceled. Yeah. There's promo out there, but I think as much as it makes me nervous, I think we need to just keep staying the course and try to live our lives. But we talked about we don't want this to become the coronavirus podcast.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's just, again, something that's out there. We'd be silly if we didn't mention it. It would be almost ridiculous if we didn't mention it.
Yeah. So why don't I take this topic and spin it forward on
spin it forward, Kirby.
Yeah, and so this is an actual topic I was thinking about bringing up, and I think we're seeing a little bit of this where you're right. You mentioned the idea that hand sanitizer in our industry, people have lost their minds a little bit, and I'm not saying our industry's lost their minds, certainly,
right.
But the idea that end user requests have gone through the roof for that actually does make some sense.
Of course it does.
But, of course, this is one of those moments when there's no way that suppliers could have possibly ever imagined this going the way it has.
No.
And the disparaging comments, the idea that distributors are going sort of publicly dissing suppliers, it has to stop. This is a moment when we talk about this a lot, you and I, Bill, about this being a partnership.
Yep.
And guys, like, obviously, if they could, suppliers would continue to have it because they would be selling it. So the idea that somehow there's a conspiracy to get rid of it is the most absurd thing on the planet, and we need to be better.
If I can crystallize your thoughts into words, hey, distributors, chill the F out. Yeah. I totally agree, and I've seen several of great companies, and I'm not going to name them just because I don't want to be even connected with besmirching them. Right. Great suppliers in our industry. They plan how much hand sanitizer they have because that's inventory or how much they can manufacture. That's inventory sitting on a shelf.
Yep.
And for I one that stuck out to me that I saw, and of course it was in Promotional Products Professionals. It was some guy. I ordered 1,000 pieces of hand sanitizer. They told me they had stock, and then the next day they didn't. Mm-hmm. Well, I think things might be moving a little fast for our suppliers who are manufacturing and distributing hand sanitizer. So I think that you should expect some stocking issues. Yeah. Should it frustrate you? Of course it should. We would all love to be perfect with our inventory counts. But for someone to go online, name a specific supplier, and decide to set them aflame, it galls me. It really drives me completely bonkers.
Well, and it's from my perspective, it shows that you are the one who is unprofessional.
Well,
in the moment, and the reality of it is, like, I think some of the suppliers have done a really good job of saying, "Look, I'm really sorry. This is just where we're at."
Every supplier I've seen, when they're out there. Sorry, we're out. We're doing the best we can. We'll let you know.
Yeah, and I always come back to, what would I feel like if my clients did this to me?
Right.
Like if my client, because I know a distributor has never made a mistake,
No.
right? Never missed a deadline that was their fault. The idea that they would go online and tell everyone on the planet what a scumbag I was, like that would hurt me to my core. And so the idea that we feel like it's okay to do that to suppliers, I think, is just ridiculous.
Look, I get it. You know, as a distributor, you don't produce really anything. You are, in the very simplest form, you're a box mover. You move a box from a supplier, you should get it to end user, and very rarely do you even ever see the product. So I get the fact that the entire process is technically outside of your control.
Right.
But you can't have it both ways. It's outside your control, which is frustrating, but don't use that as leverage of, hey, man, I can't do anything about it, and so it's everybody else's fault but mine.
I always say, Bill, and I think in a normal setting, and I think we've established we are not in a normal time, but in a normal setting, I always say that I am in the business of making promises for other people.
Exactly.
That is my job. And so I tend to be very careful about who I make promises for. But I also think because we're in a not normal time,
you have to have grace.
Well, we have to have grace, yes. But I also think that our customers read the news and listen to the news too. They know we're not in a normal time. It's about communication. It's about professionalism. And so, folks, let's all work together.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So, Kirby, let's flip this. I don't. Like I said, we've talked too much about coronavirus. I think today. I think. Look, it's all anybody's talking about. But let's give everybody a break. One of the favorite things, and we did talk about this, is one of the few podcasts we talk about in advance, and we do it every year. Last Sunday was International Women's Day, and we have over the last 3 or 4 years, right around this time of year, we have a podcast talking about the women we admire in the promotional products industry.
Yes.
And what I like about this podcast, it really gives us an opportunity to highlight some of those people that really are doing some great things. It's not the promo person of the week, although there may be some overlap. Some of these people may have been promo person of the week. But we want to talk about the women who are inspiring us, the women who are really doing things that we wish maybe we could do sometimes. And so do you want to start off, Kirby, or would you like me to? It's up to you. We just want to talk about some of the women who are, and we've not talked about our list. We just talked about let's create our list. So
I'll let you go first, if that's okay.
Okay, so I've got. You know, why don't I do one, you do one. That way, if there's some overlap, okay.
Yeah.
So one of the first ones that came to mind was Megan Zezzo. Actually, she works at SNS Activewear as a national accounts manager, and one of the things that I love what Megan's doing, she has one of the hardest jobs in the world. She is Dana Zezzo's daughter. Dana Zezzo is a titan. Well, joking aside, he's a titan of the industry. He is a legend in the industry, and she has done such a wonderful job of creating her own path and building her own brand. Not because she didn't want to be part of Dana. I know she's very proud to be a Zezzo, very, very proud to be a Zezzo, but she has charted her own course and made her own path and built her own name. And I think it's very difficult for Julian Lennon to go into music after John Lennon's your dad.
Right.
I think it's very hard for someone to come in the promotional products industry with someone like Dana Zezzo as your dad, because he's done so many things. And for her to chart her own course, I'm very impressed with. So Megan Zezzo was the first one I came up with.
That's a super good one, and I actually love that idea, because there aren't, there are certainly examples of folks who've come in after their parents, but it is hard. And so that's a good one.
All right.
The one that popped to the top of my list, Carrie Cowden.
I had her. Boom. I had Carrie.
Okay, so
that's
Carrie
good. This is why we do this one by one.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. So Carrie, for those who don't know, obviously someone who has influence in our industry, but she has taken over the Promo Cares podcast. Actually, you, I think, started the podcast, but then she has taken it over and kind of taken it to a new level, and certainly appreciate what she's doing. And it was great. I got a chance to meet her briefly at SKUCon this year in Vegas, and I love what she is doing and what she's all about. So
yeah, she's terrific, and definitely has done a much better job of the podcast than I did. I think she does. I think she lends a really nice gravitas to that podcast, and I absolutely had her on my list. I mean, I could prove it to you, but I'm not going to.
I trust you, bro.
Okay, next one would be Lindsay Davis from Raining Rose. Yeah. She has very quickly, she started off in the industry selling lip balm for her parents' company, and then they sold it to Raining Rose. And she's very quickly gone into Raining Rose and now is running the entire promotional products division. Built one hell of a team,
yes, for sure.
which is an incredible feat. I think what she's doing at a very young age. I mean, I don't think Lindsay's much past 30, to be honest with you. I don't know exactly how old she is. I just pray she's older than 30. Since I said she was 30.
She's wise beyond her years, regardless of her age.
But what she's done there is very impressive to me. She has been the promo person the week before, but I felt it bared repeating just what she's doing, and she does it quietly. She's not a big presence on social media. I think that's by choice.
Right.
And she has built just an incredible team there over at Raining Rose. So that would be my second one.
So this is one that we've mentioned before, and that I think people always talk of, but it's just one of those where when we do this sort of list, when we do this sort of thing, who pops to my mind, right? So Charity Gibson.
Yep.
Charity is, again, a friend of both of ours, somebody that we both respect, but I think she's one of those people who certainly she has a face and a brand in the industry, but I also think she does a lot behind the scenes that maybe people don't all know that she does. I love her Badass Women of Promo podcast. Again, she is a person who's willing to put herself out there, and I think that I just admire that, and I respect that.
Now, she has reinvented herself a couple times, and watching her doing what she does, and she runs social for quite a few of our industry. Great names in our industry, great companies in our industry. She does a wonderful job there. She has the Badass Women of Promo thing, which is really kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I think what she does, and she's kind of like the Energizer Bunny. I don't think she ever gets tired, and that's very inspiring to watch. I'm going to go here, Jessica Gibbons-Rausch. Jessica Gibbons-Rausch, who a lot of people may or may not know, been in the industry a long time. I'd say about 12 or 13 years. I actually served with her on the PPA Chicago board quite a few years ago. She had lost her job, and she started her own company called Trend on Brand, and she's very quickly kind of positioned herself as someone who's really watching the retail market and helping clients understand that and create better promotional products because of that. She's a promo kitchen chef now, and she's very, very intentional about kind of building her own life and doing it intentionally. As you would say, you love when people do things intentionally.
Yes.
Jessica Gibbons-Rausch absolutely does that. She's done a very intentional job of saying, okay, I'm tired of other people controlling my destiny. I'm going to control it. And she really has done a tremendous job there.
Cool. You actually kind of led me to one that I didn't initially have on my list, but I'm gonna audible a little bit.
Yep.
Kola Svek.
Yep. That's a great one.
So Kola is one of those people who I got to know through the Common SKU sort of platform. I think she's going to be a speaker at SKU Camp this year. Kola is a person who I think kind of leads with fun, but also in the chance, as I've had a chance to speak with her, I think they have a whole give back component every single month in their company where they pick a different nonprofit or organization where they not only give to, but they also give of their time as an organization. Yeah. She leads the way with that. Yeah. I remember after my conversation, I came back to my wife and was like, I want to do more of that. And it was based on my conversation with Kola.
Awesome. Do you have one more you want to do? Want to do one more?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I've got, okay. I am going to go Meg Erber. Erber, who, one of the things, and why Meg? So Meg has been on the Industry Insider podcast for a year now with me, Jeff, gosh, thank you. I'm like I said, I'm kind of getting out of a cold. Yep. Jeff Franklin, and of course Stephen McFadden, and those are three pretty big personalities. And I will tell you what, not only does she hold her own, she actually does a great job leading that podcast from behind the scenes. She's the one who drives the topic. She's the one who drives, here's when we got to record, guys. And she has been kind of the glue that's held that together. And that's been a podcast that was really a brainchild of Stephen and Jeff Franklin. Jeff Franklin. So brainchild of those two, and then I had the thought of, hey, we need a woman's voice here, and we kind of held open auditions, and honestly, Meg's the perfect fit for that. Meg's done such a wonderful, wonderful job just killing it on that podcast. And I think that's great. We don't have enough women voices on podcasts. And so we've already mentioned Carrie Cowden. We mentioned Charity, who does a podcast, the Baddest Woman of Promo podcast. And so Meg Urban. That's just awesome. So one more. And I will say that this is funny. I've got several other names on my list, and there's plenty of folks.
We can run down in honorable mentions at the end. Just no explanations.
Yeah. So, but also I would invite people to tag people that
we're missing everybody. We're missing tons of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go with one that would be tough for you to say, but Lori Moore. Lori Moore, she is the Chief Fun Officer there at Promo Corner. I'm not trying to suck up. She is one of those people who kind of exudes positivity just in my interactions with her, but also online. I see the idea, again, I'm thinking of people who inspire me to do better at my job, right? And so when I see the packages that she sort of sends to you guys and your team, I'm like, ooh, I need to do more of that. And so I love it. The biggest compliment I can give to anybody is that they make me want to be better.
Yep.
And several of these folks are like that, and Lori Moore is one of them.
Awesome. No, that's a great. Actually, it wouldn't have been that hard because let's go through our list of honorable mentions.
Okay, sure.
Right? So my honorable mentions, Heather Dixon, who just started writing a blog for us. Just
that was good.
Killer writer. Just a killer writer. And kind of had to coax her a little bit to do it.
Yep.
But I'm so glad she's doing it. Heather Dixon. Kelly O'Brien from Hanes Brands.
Nice.
Kelly has done a really nice job of kind of making a name for herself in the apparel side of the industry. And then I did actually put this, my team at Promo Corner, which I intentionally is very female heavy. You've got Lori Moore, who you said great job there. Kelsey Cunningham, fantastic job. Amelia Model, Jessica Onions, Carrie Ann Jacobson, Pam Poor. Without those very strong women, we would not be able to do the great things that we do at Promo Corner. And so I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. So Lori got a double mention. Kirby, who are your honorable mentions?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through them pretty quickly here.
Yep.
So Heather Mangold from Raining Rose. Catherine Graham, who is always at the top of my list. Brittany David. Teresa Muzzillo.
That's a great one.
Yeah, on PPAI board now, obviously with Proforma. Tina Filipski. Kim Todora, who I mentioned as Promo Person of the Week last week.
Right.
So
and you meant Vera Muzzillo on the PPI board.
I apologize. Yeah.
That's okay. No, it's okay. Just wondering.
But yeah, I was, again,
no,
these
that's
are
okay.
folks that popped into my head.
No, that's great stuff. This is actually one of the favorite things we do every year.
Yeah.
It's fun for us to do it kind of privately and then see what we come up with together. So we know we miss people.
Yes.
We know we missed probably obvious people, and people are going, "Are you guys kidding me? You guys are complete morons." So please let us. Yeah, we are. So please let us know who we missed. But you know who's not morons, Kirby?
Who's that, Bill?
That are good pals over at TechWeld.
Nice.
You know, a lot of USA made products, and especially these days, that's pretty important stuff. It's as we're in a world filled with worry regarding overseas merchandise, they offer a ton of USA made products that help separate them from the promotional pack. They have that custom packaging, and that is such a huge thing in our industry right now. They have to create new things every day. That's kind of a philosophy over there, and their custom packaging division is a super great example of it. Each box kind of takes on a life of its own, and they work to meet every custom packaging specification. I love that. And then also they have those full color process lunch boxes. I love retro lunch boxes. I still somewhere, my mom's holding it hostage. I have my Evel Knievel lunchbox from when I was a kid. But they can either do, that's right, they can do either a decal imprint or a full imprint. They have those full color capabilities on the lunchbox, so you can create your own retro lunchbox. So go ahead and visit techweld.com. See what they're doing in packaging. See what they're doing in those full color process lunch boxes. You're not going to be sorry you did.
Cool.
All right, you got another topic for us, Kirby?
Sure. Let's see. So I came across this. This is one of my LinkedIn finds.
Okay.
They say at least once a week, a third of adults ponder what they wish they'd have known when they were younger. According to a
third.
study.
Wow.
Yeah. 2018, Oprah Winfrey told advice would be to relax and stop being afraid.
Okay.
Another person said not be afraid to take risks. So I am curious to know, what would you want to tell your younger self?
That's a loaded question, Dr. Hasseman.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I don't know what I'm going to say. So
I'm going to say, better. In the spirit of this podcast, I'm going to say the first thing that pops in my mind. I wish I would trusted my gut a lot more early on.
That's a good one.
And I'll extrapolate that into for a very, very long time, I lived my life in fear, scared to make a decision, scared to have a take, scared to have a stance, scared to do anything. And so, I lived a lot of my professional life, especially professionally, being just kind of keeping my thoughts to myself. And then there was this point where I had lost my job, and I decided it was at Halo. After I lost my job at Halo, I never really spoken my mind respectfully. I had never, I put some ideas out there and things like that, but never really embraced who the hell I was.
Right.
We always say how long it takes someone to get comfortable in their own skin, and the sooner you are comfortable in your own skin, the more successful you're going to be, and the quicker you're going to achieve that success. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin until I got shit canned from Halo, quite frankly, and kind of decided I am going to follow my gut, because I made the decision when I was interviewing that I was just being honest and speaking my mind. Here's what I think. Here's what I wouldn't do. Instead of interviewing and what do I think he wants to hear or she wants to hear. And I thought, and people were like, wow, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of it that way. And I'm like, you know what? I need to trust my gut more. And the more I did it, it gave me confidence, which I didn't have. It gave me a purpose, which I didn't have. Now, you kind of have to balance that out. I mean, I'm not always right, trust me. But yeah, I would trust my gut more, because I remember having to tell, literally in my brain, Kirby, having to tell myself when I was scared to say something or speak up is, hey, you're smart. You know what you're talking about. It's okay. And that's a weird thing to admit, but I'll admit it. So there you go. What about you?
Boy, that's a really good one, Bill. I think the idea of trusting your gut is really interesting. I would go a different way for that, is that I've developed what I actually like to call it my spidey sense. When I don't have like somebody is presented to me and for whatever reason my vibe doesn't jibe with theirs and I can't articulate it, I find that I tend to be right. And that's my spidey sense, right? So I love that you brought up the trust your gut. But honestly, be strong enough to ask for help.
Yep, absolutely.
I have always been, if it's to be, it's up to me. And that served me well.
Yep.
But I think it serves you well to a point, right? And it's not his quote. It's an African proverb, I think, but Danny Rosen always talks about if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far,
go together,
yeah. But I though, if it's to be is up to me, is important because I think it does allow you to put yourself out there.
Oh, no question.
But I think as I've gotten older, the willingness for me to go, okay, I don't need the credit. I don't, and I'm still working on that, by the way.
We all are.
But like the example I use is when I started a retail business, and my next door neighbor has one of the most successful retail businesses in Coshocton County, still does. And I don't still have a retail business. Yeah. And I never asked him what to do. I never went to him and said, hey, what advice do you have? And it was, the irony is that it was faux vibrato, what's the word I'm looking for? It was like confidence, but it was really insecurity. And so be willing to ask for help.
Well, and you're dead on, and that's a great one, Kirby, and I love the example you used. Sometimes that unabashed confidence that people put outward is really hiding a ton of insecurity. Yep. Great. I love that topic, Kirby. Let's do a quick one. This is just kind of fun.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw this. So there's been a proliferation of quick service restaurants. That's what they like to be called now. Quick service restaurants getting into the promotional products game with some very interesting products. We've talked about Arby's doing things in the past. Well, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken's back at it. I don't know if you saw.
I didn't.
They had a KFC Croc. So it was those Crocs shoes. It had a dangling chicken drumstick on top. Well, that got my attention. Now McDonald's.
Okay.
Your good pals over from Oak Brook, Illinois, Mickey D's.
Okay.
Selling burger-scented candles. If you go to goldenarchesunlimited.com, that's goldenarchesunlimited.com, and I'm not going to say you won't be sorry you did, because you might be. Yeah. You can get a 6-pack with the theme, a 6-pack of these candles. The theme is a quarter pounder of cheese. The scents of these candles are bun, ketchup, pickle, cheese, onion, and 100% fresh beef, Kirby.
Wow.
So where does this stop? I mean, it's funny, but who the hell wants an onion-scented candle?
That's exactly where my mind went. I'm like, oh my God, that's so gross. So where does it stop? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it does.
I don't know that it does. I'll be honest. That's one that is amusing to me, and good for whoever convinced them to do that and made that sale. But
we may joke about it, but I flippin' love the creativity. I absolutely love it, and I think people buy those things. No one they light the candles probably for 2 seconds, or not even light it. They probably just smell them and go, "Holy crap! Why would I want that?" Is there any one you'd like to see get involved in this, or something you'd like to see?
I think the thing that pops into my head immediately is Sam Adams. But then I'm like, good Lord. So then your house will smell like a frat house the day after a party. But,
well, it wouldn't have to be candles. It could be anything.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking candles because I was like.
Could be anything you want, Kirby. This is your podcast. It's your dime, your dance floor.
I think that I actually, generally speaking, really like this creativity. I'm not, the idea of the candle is one thing, but any of the organizations that tie themselves to branded merchandise and do it in a creative way, I'm kind of down with it because
I am too.
I'd actually probably wear, if it's done really well, like I'm in my mind, McDonald's, right? So I'm not like a giant fan of McDonald's, but if they did some cool socks, I might be in.
And I think they did some a couple years ago. And look, I there are some things that are just pervasive in our marketing brains, especially just even if you're not in marketing, it's just branding growing up. And I remember the old commercial for, and I'm sure you know this too. What are the ingredients for a Big Mac, Kirby? 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles on a sesame seed bun, right?
Yeah.
And they used to have a T-shirt that had a Big Mac on front and had that little jingle on the back. I'd love that. I'd love to find one of those. So there's some method to this madness. Okay, Kirby, so we're at the time of the podcast. We're going to talk about the promo person of the week. Yep. It is my week this week, and it's dedicated to highlight that one person who's grabbing our attention. In the spirit of our kind of women-themed podcast this week, I did intentionally pick a young woman who I have found to be extraordinarily impressive. You may or may not know her, Julie Kwan, who is the professional development manager at PPAI.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she leads kind of the diversity and inclusion initiative for PPAI. I had a chance to talk with her about 18 months ago. She was looking to kind of start a podcast. I was at LDW, and she actually sat with me as you and I recorded this podcast. And that was fine, and that was wonderful, and happy to help. Anybody you want, you and I both get asked all the time, how do you start a podcast? What do you do? And we're happy to, there's no secret sauce here. You just kind of do it, but we're happy to help and assist in any way, shape, or form. But then her and I had a conversation for about 45 minutes. Just about what diversity meant, what inclusion meant. And I don't know how old Julie is. She's certainly at least 15, 20 years younger than me, if not a little even more.
Yeah, you need to stop guessing on that.
Yeah, I do. But she, the conversation we had, which was, I am generic white guy. She is Asian American. Just a really honest conversation, and I never felt awkward or anything. I felt we could be open with each other. And I will tell you, I walked away from that meeting with her so impressed that someone that young had such tremendous foresight, tremendous brain in the way she wants to create inclusion. Just super, super, super impressive. So Julie Kwan absolutely is my promo person of the week.
Absolutely love that one. I've had a chance to meet Julie a couple times, and you're right. She just has a gravitas and a perspective that I think we all need. And I think that the idea of us being able to have those discussions in a we're just not having enough of them in non-accusatory, non-emotional ways so that we can better understand each perspective. Those push us forward as a culture. And
I'll tell the story. I mean, I remember real quick. One of the stories I told her, I said, when I worked at Guy Brown, the company was woman-owned and minority-owned. And so we would go to the National Minority Supplier Development Council convention every year. And I remember the first time I went, and it was in Atlanta. And I went to my boss, she goes, I want you to go to this one. It's really focused on automobiles, things like that. And I walked into a room, and I'd say there were probably 100 people in the room, and I would say 98% of them were African American. And I walk in the room as a generic white guy, and I remember, I'll never forget it. And I'll never forget. I felt awkward. I felt uncomfortable because I was one of the, if not the only white person, the one of the only few. And I think I finally understand what a lot of people who are of different color feel like walking into a room. And it really opened my eyes to things. And we had that conversation, and I just remember that conversation, just really interesting perspective. Just a big, huge fan. All right, cool. Kirby. So we're changing things up on the podcast. As soon as we get to a place of comfort, we decide to blow it up. So we've been doing the best thing ever for a while. We've decided that's becoming the worst part of the podcast because it's hard to come up with stuff. So we are changing that up a little bit here. And so what we're going to do going forward until we choose not to do it is something called Dealer's Choice. Mm-hmm. So the person who doesn't have the promo person of the week that week can do anything you want. Another topic. If you want to do best thing ever, it could be a rapid fire. We could bring that back. It could be something personal. Anything you want. So Kirby, for the next 90 seconds to 2 minutes, the floor is yours.
All right. So the dealer's choice this time is I had a best thing ever just in case, but I didn't like it, and so I'm not going to go with it. So
I like it.
One of the things that we started the podcast with sort of what is going on, but what I found is we are more and more – it's more important now than ever before, and I've been saying it's important for a long time, to push good into your brain intentionally.
Yes.
I have routines where I try to do that first thing in the morning, and I will tell you over the last couple weeks it's been harder and harder. And one of the places where I do it is, I try to create a morning time where I meditate a little bit. I have gotten out of the habit of doing that. Because it's so hard to avoid negativity or just, the information overload, I have been trying to get back into the habit of pushing good intentionally into my brain. Do you do that? And if you do, what do you do to just try and, because you've talked about sort of your lunchtime routine. Are you modifying that in the world we live in now, or are you just sticking with how you do it?
I don't intentionally do that stuff, and I wish I'd probably do more of that. I mean, I do some meditation, but it's not really meditation. It's just quiet. I need quiet once or twice a day. I don't intentionally seek out the good. That sounds probably very strange to say. I don't necessarily, intentionally push good in my brain, but what I do is make sure I've got my filter on and I keep the bad shit out. I like to think I have a pretty good BS detector. If I feel like something is making me not feel great, I just move on. Right. And so I don't intentionally do that, Kirby. And I probably should look at that a little more. Like I said, I do intentionally take time for myself every day to meditate, take a few minutes, and just kind of recenter myself. Yeah. It's just too easy to get caught up in the million things we're all busy doing. But I don't feel this. I think what you're telling me, or what I'm getting from you, is you kind of feel this constant struggle. If sometimes I get so much crap being pushed at me, I start feeling like crap. Yeah. I don't feel that. That's just not how I'm wired. That's just, I think that's different strokes for different folks category. Sure. I just tend to, if I don't, I try to keep it away all the time, to be honest with you. I don't get bogged down in it. That's just not my personality.
Yeah, I find that when I am unintentional about it, it's not that like all of a sudden my day's crappy. Yeah. But I think I feel more chaotic, if that makes sense. Because it's like you do feel more reactive. Yep. And for whatever reason, when I'm intentional in that, I'm like, okay, I just feel like I have better perspective.
Is that maybe a byproduct of saying yes to too many things and not saying no?
I mean, maybe, but I really do think that there is a time where I get mental fatigue from the constant barrage of whatever it is.
We all do. So here's the thing. So I guess I am intentional. So I'm not going to go floating around CNN today because I don't need a coronavirus update every 14 seconds. Yes. Something big happens, I'm sure I'm going to find out about it. And I'll find out about it. I'm going to find out about it probably not even on my terms, quite frankly. Yeah. So no, I get it. Great stuff. All right. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our wonderful sponsor at Next Level Apparel. Their vision is to create that tubular tee that offers the elevated fit, made of that soft fabric we both love, and everyday function inspired by streetwear, skatewear, surfwear, and workwear. Really great stuff they're doing over at Next Level Apparel. You do not want to miss out on this new t-shirt, the 1800 Unisex Ideal Heavyweight Tee. Head over to nextlevel.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Kirby, love this podcast. Love when we get to talk about some people who are shaking things up. Yep. And it's always fun to cast a little spotlight on maybe people who haven't had that done. So thank you for doing this, and I wish you a safe, coronavirus-free day.
Thank you for listening to Unscripted with Kirby Hasseman and Bill Petrie. Unscripted is available every Friday at promocorner.com, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry.